welcome to or welcome back to my channel. Today is just gonna be a chit-chatty update kind of video today. I have surprised myself even. So today we're gonna go over my r/fantasy. This is the Reddit subreddit, all about fantasy, sci-fi, speculative fiction reading group. I think that's what they are. I don't know. Basically, I want to say April, but probably comes out like March. Every year though, they do a bingo board, which I will leave here for you guys. Check out. I will also have the Reddit in the description so you can go like get a better look or get recommendations for any books. But basically, this is kind of like a readathon. It's a bingo board that runs from April to March every year. I've done this for the past 2 years. This is my second year, and it's just kind of fun. It's a nice way to pick up things that you might not typically pick up and branch out and try new things. But it's also easy enough that if you read a general like amount of books, like you'll probably be able to fit them in. Like they're vague enough, but there's also hard mode, which I am also trying to accomplish. Last year I ended up failing. I didn't complete like a blackout board because, oh my god, last year I didn't read nearly as much, and I didn't really think about it or consider everything as much. This year though, I've truly surprised myself. I don't know how I've done it. I've gone through the 185 books that I've read so far this year, and I've slotted in to the bingo board to see like what's counted and what's not, and what I'm missing and still need to get to. So that's what we're going to chat about today, is just what I've read and what I will be reading. So I'm going to just do them by rows, and so we'll just begin. The first one being a title with a title, hard mode, not royalty, so no like prince of whatever. It's like the Never King wouldn't work for this. You get it. So for this, I've read 2 books that count. I have 2 books still on the TBR. The first one that I read is A Master of Jinn. The second one being Red Sister. I read both of these. Neither of them were like super strong wins for me, but I did read them. The other 2 that I have much higher hopes about that I would hope to get to before March would be The Bone Witch and Foul Lady Fortune. Both of those intrigue me just a little bit more. I also hate this prompt because I am illiterate and dumb, and so when it's like a title, I'm like, what is a title if it's not king? Proper titles. My brain doesn't get it. Alright, the next slot that I've checked off is the superhero prompt, hard mode, not DC or Marvel. That was rather easy because I don't want to read either of those anyway, but I accidentally checked this off. It's one of those things where like you pick things up, you read them, and you don't realize that you've actually like read for them. So I ended up reading a novella called Superior on Kindle Unlimited, and it's all about superheroes. It's about this teenager who is an assistant to the like heroes, and is like the main office person, admin, if you will, and they kind of fall in love with the villain's assistant, and it's very cute. It's young adult, but there is like underage consensual hooking up, which was like a little bit uncomfy, but besides that, I actually thought it was pretty cute and I would recommend it. The next prompt is bottom of the TBR. This one, they're very kind and gracious, and they say that there is no hard mode because it's really hard to pick things up that you've just like continuously been putting off, and they're counting whatever wins as a win. So I have a few. My current reads on Goodreads was ridiculous. I've been slowly chipping away at it, so whatever counted from that also works here. But for this one, I went with The Coldest Touch because that was a book that I put on a TBR a while ago. I also went with The Starless Sea because that one literally took me so long to read. It was actually kind of ridiculous. It took me nearly 1 year, which is like a little bit much. But the slotted TBR book that I still have for this would be Legendary, which is the sequel to Caraval, which I've had since it came out and I've still not read it. It's a little bit ridiculous. Also, for the superhero prompt, I still have Renegades and The Extraordinaries on the TBR. I don't know if I'll get to them. They are lesser priority to me than some of these other books, but that is still a goal. Alright, the next one is Young Adult, hard mode, being published in the last 5 years. This is the easiest prompt for me. Like, sometimes they give you wins. They give you the easy things. This one, I checked off so fast, so soon. I love reading young adult. It is one of my favorite age categories still. AKA, I only read like 2 main age categories, and it's young adult or adult. So that's like 50% of my reading at least. And whatever's been published in the last 5 years, again, I read a lot of new releases and backlist stuff, like 2017 to 2023. That's like my perfect range of books right now. So the 3 that I like picked out to say like this is a for sure win, Belladonna, Iron Widow, and Hotel Magnifique, all counted. Easy check. Okay, the next one I have not completed, and it is the mundane jobs category or square. And the hard mode is that it does not take place on Earth. So I haven't checked this one off, but I've added a couple more to the TBR. So there is Baker Thief, which is all about Baker, who either is a thief or is trying to stop a thief. I don't remember. The one that I'm super intrigued to get to is the utterly uninteresting and unadventurous tale of Fred, the vampire accountant. That one probably also takes place on Earth as well as the rest of them. I have read Light from Uncommon Stars and Small Favors, and those both feature mundane jobs, but they are set on Earth, and I'm trying to complete the hard mode. So my hard mode book will be Legends and Lattes, because that is completely fantasy. It is not, like, it's aligned to Earth, but it is probably not on Earth because Earth doesn't exist in that kind of world. So that will be my hard mode when I get to it. So the next one, the next one is books published in the 2000s, from 2000 to 2010. And the hard mode is that it was not featured in the 2023, the top 30 of the best 2023 list that they have. It's listed on the subreddit, so you can find it there. I originally had the Graveyard book, but since then I've added 2 more. One being Vita Nostra, because I just recently was kindly sent the book, and the other one being Twilight. Because that came out in 2005, and it's not on the best of 2023 list for some really weird reason. So I would like to read that before March of next year, because that sounds like fun, and I'm a Twilight stan, what can I say? And then the next square that I've still not completed is the Angels and Demon prompt. Hard mode is that it needs to be like the main character is the demon or whatever. So I have 2 books for this? Yeah. So I have Good Omens by Neil Gaiman, of course. This is a classic and probably the highest recommended for this prompt. And the other one that I have is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I'm so excited to finally read this. I don't know if it counts for the hard prompt, but I plan to read Good Omens anyway, so it'll be fine. But I did not love Strange the Dreamer, but I have the best feeling about Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I don't know what it is, but I think it's going to be a wonderful 5-star. I think I'm going to be obsessed with it. I think it's going to be my favorite thing ever, and I'm so excited for it. So I will eventually be getting to that. The next square I've completed is the read 5 SFF, science fiction fantasy / speculative fiction fantasy. I've read the Grimoire of Grave Fates, and I read that entire thing, which counts for hard mode, which is completing an entire anthology instead of just cherry picking some stories. I do also have Africa Risen on this because I was supposed to read it for a book club that was happening, but the book club canceled it because I don't think they liked it, or didn't finish it or whatever. And so I didn't end up picking it up, but I still kind of want to pick it up and give it a chance, but I'm also like, oh, Daphne didn't like it, so I don't know. So I'm not sure where I'd land on that, but I've technically completed this prompt, so I'm not going to stress about it. If I get to it, great. If not, cool. The next one is my absolute favorite prompt to ever exist, and it is simply horror. Hard mode, not Stephen King or H.P. Lovecraft, which again, easy. I will be reading my first Stephen King this month though, which is also like intimidating and exciting all at the same time. But I've read a lot of horror. I love horror. It is some of my favorite. For this, I just specified Mr. Magic and How to Sell a Haunted House, because those are supernatural horrors to their truest nature, and I love them both. I think they were both very good and made me very happy. So the next one, which I would love to get recommendations if you have any. I have completed it, but I'm always looking for more. So the next one is self-publish or indie publish, and the hard mode prompt is that it has to be under 100 ratings on Goodreads. Originally I picked out Loch Remora. Have not read this yet, but I did end up reading a Kindle Unlimited novella, very short book titled Mirror Monster on the Wall. I read this during the 72 hours in the smut den. It was a lot, I'll be honest with you. It was short, it's certainly smutty, monster smut. It was a lot though, for me to handle, but I did read it, and it has 88 reviews on Goodreads as of this video. So check. I did it. That one, I don't necessarily recommend it, but like if you're interested, check it out, I guess. The next one is set in the Middle East. Hard mode is if the author is of Middle Eastern heritage. So the two books that I've read this year for sure, I'm sure there's more, but these are the two that I picked out at least. Spice Road and The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. Both of these are, one of them is American, one of them is Australian, but both of Middle Eastern heritage. So check, boom. I don't know how I've done so well. I'm gonna be so honest with you. The next one is another one that I really enjoy, very easy. Published in 2023, hard mode, debut book. I'm tracking my debuts this year. I haven't done that before, and oh, what a mistake that was. The amount of times that debut book is a prompt for some readathon or whatever happens often, and I never tracked it before, and so I was always like, I don't know. But this year I'm tracking it, and it's very exciting for me. So for this, I've got written down The Spite House Horror, I've got Revel, and I've got Spice Road again. A lot of these kind of repeat and count. I don't think technically repeats count. I think you have to read a different book for each square, but I've got multiple options, so I know that it works out. The next one I have not completed. Multiverse and or alternate realities. Hard mode being characters don't walk through literal doors. I do have the Starless Sea marked as red for this prompt, but they do kind of go through doors. It's very complicated and complex, but yes. The one that I'm most intrigued to read is The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making, which I think is a middle grade. But it sounds very cute, and apparently this works for hard mode. I also have written Recursion and Dark Matter by Blake Crouch on here, and I do not know if these actually count as alternate realities or multiverse, because I haven't read them. I don't know why I wrote them here to begin with. Somebody must have recommended it, and I was like, okay. But I do know those are two books that I hope to get to from him. I don't really care about Upgrade so much, but those two I definitely want to check out at some point, so this might be my push. Alright, the next one is POC Author. This is a reoccurring square that happens every year, and then the hard prompt is always a little bit different. So this year's hard prompt is futuristic sci-fi setting, and for this I've technically read two. I read Want and I've read Iron Widow. I would say, I don't know, it's very hard for me to know like what's considered futuristic in a sci-fi world, because like it's sci-fi, which means technically it's more scientifically advanced than our world. I don't know if that maths, but like that's how my brain sees it, and I'm like, yeah. Like, I think Want by Cindy Pon certainly works for this. I'm not as sure about Iron Widow, but I loved Iron Widow, so it's fine. I also have on here Binti. I don't know who this author is, but this is a, I think, trilogy novella series that I really want to try out and get to. The next one is book club or read along. Hard mode, you have to participate in the discussion and do it like as in that month. I love book clubs. They're some of my favorite things. I love participating in them. I love the community aspect of it. I've read quite a few. The two that I specifically plucked out of my reads for this, that was weird. Pinata, which was horror and pretty good, as well as Jade City, because I actually co-hosted that read along of the Greenbone Saga. So of course I had to count it. I had to include it. I was there for it so intensely. What a time. Alright, the next one, novella, hard mode, not published by Tor.com. I have read Silver in the Wood, but that is published by Tor. So I have two other options, one being also by Tor, which is A Psalm for the Wild Build, because I just really want to read it. But I also have Drift by Adrienne Young, which is a novella tied to, I want to say, the spin-off. I don't know what it's called. It's right behind me. One second. The Last Legacy. I think it's a novella tied to The Last Legacy, which is a spin-off companion novel to the Fable series. That is like 77 pages. It just came out. I'm going to read it so fast, so soon. So that's kind of my plan. I'm very excited, and it will count because it's published by Wednesday's Books, which is like, I think St. Martin Press or something. It's so hard to keep track of all these publishers. I hate it. But I will soon be checking that one off, which is very exciting. Okay, so the next one is Mystical Beasts, hard mode, not dragon akin, so no like wyverns, griffins, etc. So originally I had All the Murmuring Bones, which is a mermaid book. I also have Skin of the Sea, which I have on my shelves, also a mermaid book. But per definition of creature that does not exist in this reality, Get in My Swamp does count. So that book really came in clutch and is good for something. What a time, what an experience. This is the Shrek smut that I read on my channel quite, like 2 months ago now. It counts. Those are mystical creatures of many kinds, especially in the second book. But yeah, he like lives in, you know, like in Shrek when like all of the fairy tale creatures go onto his swamp? It's that. Like they just live there and he coexists with them. He actually is like cool with them. The next prompt is myths or retellings, hard mode, not Greek or Roman. This one's pretty easy. I love retellings personally. I don't love myth retellings typically. So initially I had put Kekai down for this, and I do still want to get to that. It's just like a little bit lower priority. But I've actually read a lot of retellings that do count. So the first one being The Never King, which is Peter Pan's smut. I also have The Stardust Thief. I also have Snow and Rose. Also, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies counts for this because that's Scandinavian, I think, folklore. But I also have The Bear and the Nightingale as a want to get to on the TBR, so hopefully come this December I can finally read that. The next one is Queer Norm setting. Hard mode, not a futuristic setting. The setting needs to be akin to ours in the past or current. And for this, I have read Into the Riverlands by... Why am I blanking? The Singing Kill Cycles, you know it. I've read that. Our main character, Chi, is non-binary, I'm pretty sure. But there's plenty others that I would like to get to. Gideon the Ninth, Legends and Lattes, of course. Baker Thief is apparently queer norm. So those ones I definitely want to get to, but I have also checked off the prompt, which is kind of nice. Okay, the next one is Coastal or Island Setting. Hard mode also features seafaring adventures. So I have a couple. The first one that I've read and checked off with this prompt is The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi, which I love and adore. But I also have, of course, Drift. I feel like this is going to be coastal seafaring just based off the other books. And I also have an anthology that I'm so excited to get to, which is Swashbuckling Cats. Need I say more? Come on. This is like my perfect book. Next one being Druids, hard mode, not being the Iron Druid Chronicles by Kevin Hearn. Never heard of it, didn't plan to read it anyway. So, again, Silver in the Wood counts for this, but so does this Poison Heart. Basically, so here's the thing. Druid can be taken as two different ways. Druid as in like has nature magic, which is interesting because, oh, I skipped right over the elemental magic. I'm so sorry. We'll go back to that. But like elemental magic, nature magic, those are the same thing in my brain, and that's a lot of what druids are known for. Like druid can just be nature magic. But druid in my brain, D&D brain, is shapeshifters that have nature magic, you know? So like two very different things. But technically I have checked this off, but I'm going to be reading Omen of Ice this December, And so that actually has an actual druid main character, which I'm so excited about. So that is definitely on my TBR as well, but yes, technically I've checked this off if I'm playing to the rules of like nature magic, but if I want to play to the rules of like a D&D druid character, I have to read Element of Ice. Okay, back to the one that I totally skipped over. My bad. It's not checked, so I was like, okay, don't need to talk about it. Elemental Magic, Hard Mode, not V.E. Schwab Shades of Magic series or Jim Butcher's Code of Alera series. Also haven't heard of that. I've read the first book of Shade of Magic. I don't remember there being elemental magic. I'm so sorry. For this, I have quite a few options. I've got, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna butcher this, The Daughter of Izidharbi, also The Tiger and the Wolf, which is druid urban fantasy, and apparently the Sword of Kaigen has elemental magic. I'm not sure, I have not fact checked that, but it was recommended for hard mode, so I'll find out eventually. It's a book that I've been meaning to get to. I've had it on my shelves for a while. It's just a little intimidating. Okay, continuing on. The second to last square is featuring robots hard mode. The robot is the main character. So I've read In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune, which features a bucket load of robots. Like, the whole world is robots except for this one human. But that one human is technically our main character. Like, that's who we're with the whole time. So it doesn't count for hard mode. And for hard mode, I have either the Murderbot series, which is a novella series, still going strong. I also have the Cybernetic Tea Shop, which I think is also a novella. But that one, I think, is also standalone. But it just sounds kind of cute and sweet. Like a robot tea shop. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see. Okay, and then the final square is the sequel, hard mode, third book or further into the series, which I've checked off quite a lot. So, Lore Olympus, Fruits Basket, the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, the Never King series, The Vicious Darling? I don't know. I read all of those. So, hell yeah, that means I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 squares that I need to do to complete this board by March 31st, and I definitely think I can do. Leave it to my camera to die for the outro. But yes, so I have a few squares to go. I've got plenty of time. I've still got 6 whole months to do it, which is great. I feel like last year I was in a much worse off position when it came to my R fantasy. So I'm pretty proud of myself that I think I'm going to absolutely crush and nail this year, which is a great feeling for me. I will be excited to, I don't know. Is it worth telling you by the end of it if I completed it? I'll probably just include it in a weekly vlog, since we're talking about it now and I've checked off so many things as is. But that's the video. Thank you for hanging out with me. I know this is like a bit of a maybe less fun one if you don't participate in the R fantasy, but I wanted to check in. I genuinely did not think I would have done this well. I really thought that I was gonna be like many squares to go, but no, I've actually done rather well this year. I'm surprised. But that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with me, and I'll see you back here again tomorrow. It just keeps going. The fun never stops. Bye guys!